Hey y'all, I'm Kristen.
And I'm Bailey.
Welcome to Livin on a Prayer.
We're two best friends who are here to keep it real and relatable.
Through life's hills and valleys, we're here to remind you we're all just living on a prayer.
Before we begin today's episode, we want to offer a gentle trigger warning. We'll be discussing topics related to infertility and IVF. If you are currently walking through this journey or have in the past, please take care of your heart and listen only if and when you feel ready. We're excited. Welcome back. We have another guest today. Yes. I feel like it's been a little minute since we've had a guest on here. So we're pumped to have you. So if you want to kind of just introduce yourself, give your name, a little something about you.
This is our friend,
Brandi Heath. Yes.
Woohoo.
I know. Also known as One Pop Mama right now. But
yes, y'all might know her as One Pop Mama. That's how I found her. One Pop Mama.
She's a little chef in our town.
Little mom chef.
A little mom
Not
chef.
professional chef.
I mean, your food is so good that you might as well claim the name.
She has her own cookbook, all the things. So we'll definitely tag and link all her stuff at the bottom of this if y'all want to go find her.
Especially for the mamas, her quick 20-minute one pot meals.
One pot meals that kids love. That's I feel like they're all just good, hearty things that kids are yes.
Comforting.
Comfort food.
But I look at her stuff and I love it.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. I'm just saying my kids love it. So that's a plus for the moms that your kids will eat it. Because dang, getting them to eat can be fun.
Can't relate.
It's okay. My kids still don't eat well, my youngest does. But, my oldest is picky.
He's picky. So, good times. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so tell us a little bit about you. Where are you from? All the things.
So I'm from Hammond, actually. Originally born and raised over there. Went to, Holy Ghost growing up, St. Thomas, Southeastern, the whole 9 yards. Moved over here around 2014 or 15 and been here ever since and have loved it ever since.
So what brought you here?
So honestly, it was really just kind of getting into a new area. Mm-hmm. So we loved Hammond, grew up in Hammond. We were actually out in Carter Plantation and we were looking to build a house. And then we were going to build a house in Carter Plantation and then just thinking about just future of different things and where we wanted to be. And I found myself always over here, whether it was shopping or running errands or anything like that.
Right.
And so it was why don't we go that way?
Because it's not far.
Yes.
It's
and
really
so
not.
really our family and two other families, that were always together, picked up and we all moved over here.
I love that. That's
awesome.
Cool. So you had a little
and we all still live in the same neighborhood and everything.
I love that. That's so special.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so going back, I heard the schools you went to. So talk about your religion as a kid, how you were brought up, what's your family like?
So born and raised in, the Catholic Church and raised in, St. Thomas or Holy Ghost first, then St. Thomas, which is all Catholic schools and everything. And so I've always had that foundation ever since I was young. We went to church every Sunday, the whole 9 yards. And so the foundation just always started very, very young.
Very young. So you're still practicing Catholic today?
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Yes. My boys are at Mary Queen of Peace now.
Awesome.
So,
that is so cool. So as far as I'm sorry, I'm asking a lot of questions.
It's okay.
She's am I here? Do you
have
any questions? Do you have any questions for Brandi?
I was just letting you take it because you were
well, you know, I know Brandi, but I don't know Brandi.
Yeah, no.
So I have just regular questions that I
You're
would
doing
ask.
great, sweetie. I am here.
Usually Kristen's the question, and I'm and she's hold on, rewind. But but I feel like I'm doing pretty
good. You're good.
Yes.
You keep going. If I want to interject, I'll be but wait.
But wait. Okay, so as far as your I can't. Okay. So as far as being raised Catholic, you hear a lot of times that sometimes people are oh, I didn't take much in, or I when I got older, I strayed because I wanted to explore other things and all that. What kept you so close and in love with that Catholic religion that you have?
So honestly, I think it starts with a very deep foundation too. And my family and all always had that. And so my grandmother and just everybody just throughout my life was always that way too. And so it was never anything that I ever really wanted to stray from or question. Now, am I going to tell you that we sit here and, that we go to church every single Sunday? No.
Right.
But I still don't feel any less connected than I did before either. So, I think life happens. Things happen and it's okay to not do that one thing every single week. Right. But we still practice in the house. We still, we say our prayers before bedtime, just all the things.
All the things.
And it's just, it's just a very wide talked about thing, you know, in our household and just with things that we do.
Correct.
So it's just still very important, but it doesn't mean that, like I said, we go every single week to church or anything like that. But I mean, it's
I love it. It's a generational thing, and we've talked about this before, but it's so cool, like, to know, like, your only thing that you're going to take with you when you leave this earth is your faith and leaving your faith behind. So I love that you said that. It's just like your grandma and before that, like they've left a really strong foundation of faith in your family. And it's just, that's what it's been. You've never questioned it because you were safe and the Lord was in your home from generations ago.
I've always felt like, you know, one of the things my papa actually always said, which I actually never met my papa, but I heard it from like my dad and all them, is like his biggest motto was everything happens for a reason because God is the one who makes everything happen.
Yes,
and
I
so
love that.
It's just really been something that, like, I guess that was like my little connection with him that like I kept, even though I never met him.
And you never met him.
And so, but I mean, I feel like everything in life I've always resorted back to that, no matter how hard or difficult or how much you question it.
Wow.
You just still have to
That's
know
so
that it still
powerful.
happens for a reason. And you just don't know the reason yet.
Yes.
Maybe.
Right. I love that.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to give Kristen a turn.
In your Catholic faith growing up, is there anything that like really ever stood out to you, or like from grandmother, mother, father, anyone in your family that was, or did you find a connection with one of the sacraments or traditions or something?
So I think just going to, I think just basically just growing up with it. I can't remember anything like in particular, like specifically. I mean, other than, you know, we did go to church every Sunday growing up and all of that. And then after church on Sunday, obviously we went to my mama's and the whole 9 yards. We had lunch or went somewhere for lunch. And so it was just like a great little tradition. I think that kind of just like stuck with you.
Yeah.
And it just also, you know, kept you involved in everything, even whenever you're younger and you don't fully know exactly what you want to think
why or what
you
you're
know?
doing. Yeah,
all that.
That was like
my
your
mom's doing
tradition.
it, my grandma did it. I feel safe.
Church, family, comfort.
All the things.
Yeah, and I'm hearing that it just was a big like family, like you said, like comfort thing. So like, why wouldn't you want to do that for your kids next? Because you're like, ooh, on Sundays, what I did. I went to my mama's and I went to church, and like it was something that brought you joy and love, like your whole family felt it. So you're like, of course I'm going to continue.
Of course,
yes, I love that.
Absolutely.
So as
What
far,
about, sorry.
y'all, what is wrong? You go.
Okay.
You go.
What about your husband? What was his
So he actually
faith
grew
growing
up Methodist or Lutheran? I think it's Methodist.
They're very similar.
Actually, yeah, it's very similar. And I think they maybe even switched and stuff like that. But they went to church and all. I can't say that he was like as strong of a foundation, you know, as we were growing up. But he definitely knows and still like understands the importance of it and everything, like with our boys and stuff like that. So, you know, I mean, he definitely grew up a little differently. I mean, still obviously very like, you know,
faith-based,
God-forward,
Christian.
faith-based. But I mean, I can't say that they went to church every Sunday and all that. But like, you know, but I mean, he definitely probably strayed a little bit, you know, as he was like in his college years and all that. But I mean, he's actually the one too, like a lot of the nights that like starts the prayers before bed and, you know, just different stuff like that, which is great.
When y'all got married, and I'm sure this was a conversation somewhere along the line, and when you were going to have children, how did that conversation go with like Catholic school and raising your children? What did that look like?
Thankfully, he never challenged me on it because, I mean, it was always just going to be like, it was Catholic and this is what it is.
Yeah.
And that's important to you.
It's important to me. And he saw that and he was fine with it and never questioned it and never said no. So
now,
thankfully.
Now, did he convert to Catholicism or?
No.
Okay.
No, but I mean, I feel like he's just still very... I mean, he's older too, so I mean, I just never really saw like the reasoning behind it. I mean, he goes to church with us whenever we go. Does all the things. So I mean, it wasn't really like other than like specifically having
a piece of paper that says
exactly. But I mean, he does all the same things, just like we kind of do.
I have some friends that when we were coming out of college, and we talked about this recently, she was single and she met a guy and he was not Catholic, and she said, I'm just telling you, like, my husband's going to be Catholic.
Yeah.
And she just, like, that's what it was. And it was point blank. And he was like, well, I want to date you, so I'm going to become Catholic. And he just, he just converted, right? But then some, you know, like.
Sometimes you're just like,
I mean, it was never, like, I'm not saying he would never done it. I've just never really asked
Yeah.
either. Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
anything that was important to me because his faith and everything that mattered
was strong.
there.
Yeah.
So it didn't, like all of our
love that.
beliefs and everything lined
Aligned.
up.
Right.
So
Correct.
it was fine. So it was
Yes.
never really like you have to be Catholic.
Or
kind
like,
of
we
thing.
don't agree on something. Like, we got to figure
Yeah.
this out. It was
Right.
more so just like, y'all have the relationship. Y'all didn't necessarily need him to have the religion, if you will.
Correct. Yes.
You didn't need the
Not
title
on the
of you're
paper.
Catholic. You just needed to know that you have a relationship with Jesus. We're on the same page. And that's
Yes.
like really cool because I feel like a lot of times people, I think a lot of reason people stray from Catholicism is because they don't have the relationship. They only have the religion and they're searching for something more.
Absolutely.
So something, I feel like you've always had the relationship.
Yes.
And so your religion was your foundation, but you had your relationship with Christ. So then they went together and it was just, for you, there was no other way.
Yeah.
It just worked.
No,
And I
absolutely.
love that.
Yes.
That's really cool. I love that a lot. Okay. So we're going to take it back. Take it on back. How'd
it
you
back.
meet? Okay. Let's actually go
Way back.
way back. We're gonna go further. So we grew up Catholic.
Yep.
When you went to college, that's usually, sometimes I say usually, that's when I kind of went all my ways. Did you
Sure.
stay like a practicing Catholic, or were you did you get a little cuckoo? Like, what'd you do?
Yeah, I mean, I would say
Not a little cuckoo. It's like what? It's like what when you move out of your mom and dad's house, you're like, let me test the boundaries.
Like, am I
Is that where it was?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Of
was
course.
cuckoo.
So
I
I
was cuckoo.
never tested like whether I needed it or not.
Right.
That's probably whenever I stopped probably going to church like every Sunday.
Right.
Obviously, because there was other stuff going on
Yes.
or whatever from the night before or anything like that.
I
However,
said
but
cuckoo.
it was never anything of I was raised this way, but I don't believe this, so let me test it. And I don't know. I just never felt
You never
that way.
you never really strayed from it.
Yeah.
You were just
I think
like,
it was because I know like a lot of people grow up with it being like fully pushed on them in such a
Yes.
harsh way.
Yes.
And sometimes like those might be the people that kind of stray a little bit and try to like figure it out for themselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I just never felt like it was pushed in such a harsh
No.
way to me. It was just a natural thing.
Yes,
So it
I
was
love
never
that.
anything that I had to stray from to figure out myself. I already figured it out. Like I knew that's who I was
Yes.
and what I wanted and all
sounds
that.
like
so
you
it
have
was
incredible
fine.
parents. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah,
like
I
I don't
do.
know your
Thank you.
parents, but they presented everything to you through love and the way Jesus wants it.
Yeah.
Instead of, if you do this, you're gonna be this.
Yes.
You're gonna go here if you don't do this.
Right.
All
It
of
was
the-
never like that.
You
yeah.
weren't forced. You were just
No.
taught through love, and that
Yeah.
sounds. I mean, that's what I'm picking up from it.
Yep,
But
and they were
that's what
actually divorced.
sticks.
I mean, my whole life growing up, they got divorced whenever I was 2. But they both still kept like that, I guess, very close parenting
Yes.
relationship that like I never felt like it was a divorced parent situation
Wow, that's
either,
huge, too.
which
awesome.
is
That
great.
is huge. You don't hear that a lot.
No, they were absolutely amazing with all of that growing up.
Wow.
I mean, I remember.
How old were you? Did you say when they
I
got
was
divorced?
2 whenever they got divorced, so clearly I don't really
Yeah,
remember them
right.
together. But
But
When you
that
got
could make or
older-
break a child.
Yeah,
Like,
when you got older, did you start to question that?
I mean, I'm sure I asked a few questions to my mom, but like their relationship was always so good and they
What a blessing.
remained like best friends.
Yeah.
And so it was always so good. They never fought. Like it
That's
was never
good.
anything like that. So it was never I guess
Toxic.
something to question because
Right.
it was toxic, you know. I mean, I'm sure I probably asked a few questions
Yes.
at some point just
Yeah.
because, you know, you do. But
Yes, as a kid,
nothing
you're
that
like-
like stands out that was just so confused about.
Right. Did
or
they
anything.
remarry? Neither one of them did?
Oh, yes, he did remarry.
He
I thought
did,
you meant
okay.
together.
Oh,
No,
no,
he
no.
did remarry. And I mean, he's currently married now and, you know, absolutely love her. And
Yep.
she gets along with my mom and everything.
That's
too.
amazing.
And
That's
so,
huge,
yeah, I
yeah,
mean, we
that's
have
great.
Christmas morning together. Like, it's.
Oh, wow. So you
It is
still,
the
you got-
wildest thing to a lot of people
Yeah.
because it is not normal at all, but it's the complete norm with us, which I
Yes.
love because it makes things
You're
easy
blessed.
for
You don't have to like
Yes.
separate
Yes.
which parent, like
Not
growing
competing.
up. They just
Yeah.
did it for you. They did that.
Absolutely.
They made sure you had what you needed.
They
so
did. Yes.
again, I stand by. You have great parents. Like that's
Yeah.
huge.
That
to
is.
do that. So I can
Yes.
really just tell from your story that like you had such a strong foundation that you
Yes.
didn't feel like you needed to like
Yeah.
explore other things. Like you felt loved and safe and secure in what you
Yes.
had. Now, did you like live a life and maybe skip some
sure.
church?
Yeah,
Sure. We're still all
absolutely.
doing that.
Right,
Like,
yes,
that's not,
we're human,
But
for
like,
sure.
I think it's really cool that you never really questioned. You were
Yes.
so, and that's like what the Lord asks us to do, period, every day is to just not question. Like
Yeah.
just, he has us. He's like, however your journey and your plan is going to be through him, it's going to be right.
Yep.
And I think it's really cool that you,
Yeah.
even at such a young age, were so like strong in your foundation. Not many people can say that. So
I do feel very blessed with that, and that I never felt like I had to question any of it.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I love it. So you make it through college. When do we meet our husband? Well,
so first husband, yes. So met him, out of college and everything. We got married. Not immediately. It was like a few years later and all that. I mean, we were young, know. But
How
it was
old were you?
Definitely that like party fun relationship. Obviously, I was 24 when I got married.
And what were you doing? Like when you graduated college, what'd you graduate with? What's that look like?
So I graduated in marketing, actually, but I worked at the dealership a lot, which, we had it used to be Dixie RV, now Great American. So I worked over there a lot, doing different things, and then finished college, and then, started to do like just other outside marketing stuff, like and some marketing stuff for Dixie, just different things here and there. And then until like I started building, it's, where that kind of like came into play. So I started like remodeling, started doing those different things, and then it led into building, which now leads into where I'm at now, which is just so none of it makes any sense.
It's okay. That's okay.
Like, wow, you have done so many things.
Right.
And now we have a cookbook, so here we are.
But so did that, and so basically went there. So met him. We got married. That's who we were living together actually in Carter Plantation.
Okay.
And then we were the ones who actually moved over this way together with the rest of the family. And, tried to start a family on our own and all of that. And it was not working out. But
so
our relationship wasn't really working out.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we were so young.
I get
it honestly seems like a million years ago. I don't even remember like that person and that time and all of that. Like it's
Fever
just
dream.
So crazy. Yeah.
What happened?
And so, but I mean, I don't regret any of it because I mean, it led me to where I am today. So I mean, I have no regrets with it, but I'm definitely glad of where God led me out of it for sure. I mean, it was, became a kind of little toxic of a relationship and not the right thing. And so, I finally, basically just kind of like asked God, like, okay, what am I supposed to do? We weren't, we weren't able to have kids. Like, not that we weren't able to, but it wasn't happening. And we were trying, obviously. We were doing, started all the early starts of all the fertility stuff and everything. And actually had gotten pregnant at one time and had an early miscarriage. And so it just kept, things just kept happening that I was just like, okay, something's just not right. And not just because we couldn't have a baby. It was just like everything with the relationship just wasn't right. And so finally kind of got out of that. And then, it led me to my husband now, which is,
that's amazing.
All of that. So, which is fantastic.
So how long after your first marriage did you meet your current husband?
Well, I actually already kind of knew him.
Okay.
So it wasn't like I met him early. So already kind of knew him. We ended up kind of being like the two single people, like with all of our friends and stuff like that. And, we just started kind of like hanging out more. Like we knew each other as friends and stuff, but not really like that well.
Right.
But he was still involved with like our kind of same group of people and vice versa. So we just started hanging out and a little bit more and more and just kind of like, you realize like, oh wait, hang on, okay, hold on. I never just, it's
and
just
then it
like,
was
you
easy.
never looked at him in that light, and vice versa, just because we were both previously married, so you don't look at somebody in that way,
right?
Obviously, and then, but once we were both single and divorced and all that, we, started to.
The veil was lifted.
Yes,
like, hold on,
exactly. Yes,
and then it was easy.
Yes,
it was
so
seamless.
easy. Yes,
Right.
I mean, we were picking out rings in 4 months, which I know is crazy, but I mean,
love
it's
it.
just like when we knew, like. I already knew him. He already knew my family. I already knew his family. Like we already knew all those like the very beginning pieces. Things that like a lot of people don't know about just meeting somebody.
Right.
And so it was a very quick
turnaround.
Yes.
Okay. So you
let's do it.
looked at rings at 4 months. Then what?
Then I mean we went to I did the huge big like Catholic wedding for my first wedding.
Yes.
Okay.
So it was in New Orleans, St. Louis Cathedral, the whole 9 yards, the
Right.
whole ball and show. Like, you do it all the time.
Yep.
And look, it was amazing, right? But like I had already done that and he had already been married too. And so I was just like, I didn't want to do that again.
Yeah.
I just wanted something small and intimate. I wanted to go off. We decided to go to the Cayman Islands. And so we actually went to the Cayman Islands, just me and him, to go check out where we wanted to go get married. And we weren't even engaged yet. And so typical Brandi move.
Yeah, you're like, let's go
I love it.
for wedding venues, but we're not engaged.
Yeah.
But
Wait, let me ask
we
you a
were
question.
engaged.
Can I put a pin in
Yes.
this? This is me, the wedding planner.
there was just a fly or a bug or something. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Like, you did the big Catholic ballroom, New Orleans,
Whole nine yards.
traditional wedding. How many people did you have?
Oh, it was like 350.
Okay. Now, when you decided you wanted something small and intimate, what was the main reasoning in that? Was it just because you didn't want like the same thing and the production, or I don't know, what did that look like?
So honestly, I felt like the first one was all about the show.
Yeah.
And all about everybody else and not you.
Yep.
And although at the time I didn't know that and I didn't feel that way, like it was everything that I wanted.
Yeah.
And, and I was very blessed to be able to do
it.
what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it was what I wanted at the time. But like whenever you sit back and you look at it and I'm just like, that was not for me.
Right.
Like, and that, or us, like it was not that. It was just a big show and a big production of it all. And so that's why I just wanted something small and intimate to where it is about you two.
Correct.
And it is about just the people who you love. Not that I didn't love people who were there, but like half the people didn't even know.
Well, like your uncle's neighbor whose friend met you that one year.
Yes.
Let's bring them to the wedding.
When you do it, I mean,
And you're like,
obviously,
what's your name?
I do this every day, but it's you invite people.
You do.
As a thank you for loving me in whatever
Absolutely.
season of my life I've met you.
Yep.
And now this is a big commitment I'm about to make for my next season of life. So come and it really is like I'm going to say thank you.
Yeah.
So it really
And throw this
is
party
them.
for you
Yeah.
to watch me move on to the next
Yes.
You're right.
season of my
It is.
life.
You're
You know,
right.
And
so
which look is great. I don't have anything against it.
me
and I
either.
do
Keep
think
getting
that-
married, big weddings.
Right? Yes. And I do
Plans.
think, and so I will say, if I had never done it, I would have probably
Done it again.
Correct.
And because it is you're a girl. You grow up dreaming about your wedding day.
Right.
What's
and
it
you
gonna look
have and
like?
Pinterest now, Jesus Lord, there's so many
Right.
different ideas.
And Instagram and
things to
TikTok.
do.
You just
Yes.
spiral, like, I
everything.
need everything.
And so it's like, I wouldn't say, like, I guess I'm just feel very fortunate that I was able to do both.
Yeah.
But looking back at both of them, I'm like, okay, I enjoyed this one, not just because of the person, but like the actual atmosphere of it all and like what you got to do. I mean, you know how it is. It's a full timeline
Yes.
of the whole day,
The
like
rush and
down
the
to
this
the
and the
minute
hair and the makeup
of
and the-
everything.
yeah.
And so, and you have to, you can't do it any other way.
No.
But it was still enjoyable. Don't get me wrong, but it was still just like, okay, you got to sit back and relax and just go do it. But I can't say if it wasn't our second marriages, there's no way I could have only invited like 30 people
Right.
to my only
That
wedding.
helps
You know
too.
what I'm
People are
saying?
like,
Yeah.
oh,
So
this is a small wedding.
Right.
Like, it's okay if I
Yeah.
didn't get
So-
the invite.
So yes, girls
Okay.
still have big weddings. It's
Yes.
still fun and it's still
I
the whole
know.
thing.
I just
but
I was just curious. I like to hear why
Perspective,
people
yeah.
choose
Yeah.
what size weddings and where and whatever. Okay,
Yeah.
so back to this. You went to Grand Cayman to
To shop
check out
for
a
a
wedding
venue.
venue.
we
Without a
did.
ring.
So yes, we weren't even engaged yet. But apparently, I guess he had already had the ring and everything. Like we had already picked it out. I never knew if he got it
Right.
or whatever like that. You know, we did keep some things a little, I guess, secretive.
Yeah.
But so we got there. We picked out we were going. I mean, I had a wedding planner over there, obviously, because we didn't know anything about
Yeah.
the area. So we picked out, at the Ritz-Carlton, and then we went to the Wharf for dinner one night, which is where we were wanting to do like the rehearsal dinner.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful place if you've ever been there. It's like my favorite restaurant over there. But and so he actually proposed there.
Aw,
so now
sweet.
Okay.
it's where he proposed. It's also where our rehearsal dinner was and all that.
Very
so it's a
special.
special place.
So how long after? Like how long was your?
4 more months.
Okay.
After that. So within a year.
You got married.
Everything.
Engaged, picked out
Married.
the wedding, married.
Okay, and then
I'm here for that.
And then what's the next chapter?
And then the next steps was trying to have babies.
Okay.
So in his previous marriage, they never tried. They just weren't in the place yet to try. They both traveled a lot with work and everything, so they just weren't even there yet to try.
Okay.
And then in mine, we obviously were trying. We started things with fertility, not like too much in depth, but started seeing the doctor and just different stuff like this. I, in my heart of hearts, knew like, okay, it's just not supposed to work out with that. So I knew for sure immediately, with Shane and now that it was going to work out immediately, just because
you're like, I got my
everything
man,
was
this is
right. In the
So you
world
never questioned like, okay, I tried, I started the fertility, I had a miscarriage, this may not work. Mm-hmm. Let's look at options first.
Those are signs that marriage shouldn't work.
Yes.
But now I'm in this place of peace. I got my dream man. Everything's working out. The Lord's going to give me a baby.
Yes, exactly. And
that's
so
where
we were. And so, that whole kind of just like first year, I was just like, I don't even really want to like think about it. Like we weren't preventing or anything, but I wasn't like,
you weren't trying, you weren't not trying.
We weren't like, I wasn't tracking my ovulation and like all that kind of stuff. So we weren't like actively trying, but we weren't trying, to prevent. Well, it was like 8 months went on and I was just like, okay. I was like, I don't want to be too aggressive about this, but I was like, but I also knew in my heart that like these first 6-8 months were just so easy and peaceful and happy. And if it was kind of going to happen, like it
kind of felt like
really
it would have.
when it probably should have happened on its own. You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay, let me ask, how old were each of you at this time?
I was 31.
Okay.
And he was just turned 40.
Okay.
So, and that was kind of like a thing too. Like we knew that we were like older. Not that like I was old, but in baby making years, you get old quick. I mean, unfortunately.
At 35.
Yes.
Get your canes ready, ladies.
Right. Yes.
Like,
it's
dang,
crazy.
It's kind of rude.
And so, it's very rude. But so, so I was like, okay, I didn't want to go too far off the deep end, but like I also was just like, all right,
we got to do something if it's not happening.
Yes, exactly. And so, I was trying to just wait for the sign basically to get things going.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And there was something that I read. Hold on, let me see what it is. I read this. This is what I was writing down.
Love
so
that.
I can, okay, this is what it was. So I had asked God basically like the night before. I was just like, okay. I was like, just send me a sign on like if I should really like start pursuing this more or if I just need to hold up.
Okay.
And so the next day, just went on about life and was doing whatever. And then I came across something, I think it was like on TikTok or Instagram or something like that. And it was just like one of the little like meme, like, quote things, whatever, that just said, why wait tomorrow for something you can start today? Ooh. And so I was like, okay. I was like, maybe that's my sign to just start getting things going. Because it is a process. Like, it's not like, oh, boom, okay, let's start fertility. Oh, good,
You're
tomorrow.
pregnant.
Yeah. So I was like, all right. I was like, let's at least just like start the process. Start finding out things, getting a doctor's appointment. I mean, that takes 2 months in itself anyway. You know, just different stuff like that. So we started going down that whole road and finally 5 years, almost 6 years now later, we have our second almost 1-year-old.
Wow.
So yes, it was a long process.
So in the process, I don't know too much about it. So like doctor's appointments, like did you go first? Did you start with you?
Yes. So you start with you. You rule out you, which they had already had like some information on me just because of before and just, between like your OBGYN and all that.
Same doctor
and all that. Well, same practice. I switched to doctors.
Okay.
But then, so we got him tested and everything too, ruled out all of that. Everything was fine.
Okay.
So then you start on like the slow process of like the Clomid and, trying, it's just like the pill form of fertility.
Okay.
And so, can I ask something really quick? Y'all, so they test both of y'all and they said both of y'all were good.
So I have I have like unexplained infertility. Okay. So it was never like, oh, this is what's wrong, but clearly
something was wrong.
not right.
So clearly something was wrong.
But they couldn't pinpoint.
I have, so like to be classified as like PCOS, you have to have like 3 of the 5 things. And I had like 2.
Okay.
So they were like, no, it's not really that, but kind of a little bit maybe.
Yeah.
Basically,
we don't
whole
know.
thing. Yeah. So it was just kind of all a crapshoot, basically.
Yeah.
But so you start off with that, then you start going to like a trigger shot. And a trigger shot's just like a little bit further. That's whenever you start taking like more of the hormones and like the shots and everything like that. And then you go in there for the trigger shot that day. That's whenever, like you basically like try to make everything happen. And then, that all didn't work. So it was finally.
Is that IUI that's
so
called?
that's the next part.
Okay.
So the trigger shot you can do on your own
it.
without doing IUI.
Got it.
And then you go to IUI, which is basically like where they take your egg. No, they take
Sperm.
him. Yes, they take his sperm, not extract it, but take it from him. They like spin it in the whole like wheel thing, take out all the good ones, and then they like give you the trigger shot.
Okay.
And then that's whenever they inject everything to
Got
you
it.
at that certain time during the cycle, like whenever it's supposed to meet the egg, and boom.
Okay.
We probably did that 3 times before I was just like, okay, done with that. So finally,
how did you feel in
I was
all
about
of
to
this?
ask, yes.
Let's
Like,
put
where
it.
was your face?
Let's put a pin in that.
Yeah,
Like, how did you feel?
Okay, so
what did
I
it
will
look like?
say, before this whole conversation, again, back to like faith in God and just being raised that way, I do feel like, and I'm very thankful, God made me very strong throughout this entire situation. There's a lot of people who struggle with it so much and struggle with like just the reasoning and questioning and why and all of that so much. And I felt very strong in just knowing that I just had to move forward.
Oof, that is so good, Brandi.
And that's also why like I love talking to people about it, because I do feel like, so one of my best friends was actually going through IVF and all that at the same time. And she's a nurse. And so, like they love talking medical stuff.
And she knew everything.
So she knows everything. And so like I would talk to her all the time, but I am just that person that like, I have to talk about it and have that plan and know what I want to do next and all, like to move forward.
Yes.
If
Right.
that makes sense.
Yes.
I feel like a lot.
So
I've never been in this situation, but from what I hear around me when friends and family are going through it, it's a lot of question of when will it happen, if it does happen or if it doesn't.
yes.
You
And,
know,
like,
Well, because
why?
you don't know. Like
Right.
Why
you have
of, like,
no
why?
idea if it will happen, when it'll happen, anything like that. Like, I mean, it's so funny because you have all of these plans in your head and
Correct.
Clearly
And
they
your
just go
own
out the
timeline.
window.
We
Yes,
have our
of course.
own plans, our own
Yes,
timeline,
and
and God's up there like,
yeah,
sister,
exactly.
I
Yeah.
got it.
Well, yes,
I got it.
I got it. Yeah.
So did you ever feel like defeated, like heavily?
So there was one day, it was after we moved on from IUI to IVF.
okay.
And so then I had to get like my eggs extracted,
Right.
all that whole thing. And then, which is a whole process in itself of doing. So like you stem for several months to get your eggs extracted. And then all of those eggs have to go through the process of making it. So I think there was like 23 that got pulled from me. Like 16 of those made it. Like 12 of them actually got fertilized. And then we were left with 6 that actually got a grade, like, that
They
were like
viable. Yes.
And so from 23 to 6, which 23 is crazy. That is not a normal amount that people get.
That's high, right?
It's very, very high.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And so, but what I also realized later on is that my AMH, I think it's called, is very high, which means I produce a ton of eggs.
Got it.
Okay.
But they're not all viable.
Right.
So
Okay.
I just have an overproduction of eggs, but it
eggs.
doesn't mean that they're all good.
Got it.
So that's why I stemmed so many eggs.
Okay.
But that's why only like 6 of them from 23
Made
Made
it.
it.
made it.
Okay.
So to circle back around though, so we did all of that, and then we went through. My first one didn't take. My second one was Cayman, and then 2 more didn't take. And so there was that day that I was just like, after that one didn't take, and I was like, just ugly crying in your bed,
Yes.
just break down, that whole thing. I'd been so strong the whole time and just like all these things. And so finally I was just like, okay, nothing's going to happen if I just sit here and cry anyway. So, and I was actually just like looking on my phone. And again, another like quote, like another sign was just like, and it's actually something that I use with everything in my life today. But it said, if you want something to happen, you're the only person who can make it happen. Yep. And so
the Lord's talking to you through the gram.
Yes, and like, through the gram. Exactly.
I got some memes for you, sis. You better recognize.
So I was like, you know what? Okay. And so
that's great.
I took it upon myself. I went and did like extra testing. I went to like a wellness center and everything in town, went and did extra testing, went and got like so much deeper testing just to make sure there wasn't anything deeper going on, anything like that with me. Nothing ever really came about with it. I mean, like you always have some levels that are off and stuff like that, but nothing like major came about with it. But I was still doing extra steps to find out more.
Questioning.
Yeah, exactly.
You
and just
giving
like
up.
making sure. Yeah, wasn't giving up. I started, like working out more because I had been stimming. This was probably, this was like August of that year. And I had been stimming, like being on shots every single day since like January.
Okay.
Wow, yeah.
So, like, and then you go through this whole, like, while you're stimming and while you're doing a transfer, like you can't work out and all of that because it's not good and it won't attach and everything like that.
It's tough.
Like you can do like normal everyday stuff, but not like working out. And so
nothing strenuous for your body.
So I was like, okay, so that's whenever I was like, all right, that's actually whenever I started Pilates.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing Pilates because it wasn't like so strenuous, but it was still like
enough to move your body.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so.
And probably for your mental health too.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
As a woman, like going through anything, like I've been on medication that makes me gain weight. And then I've been pregnant and on bed rest where you can't work out. Like and it's like I'm already things. Like going through something and now I feel like I don't have control of my own body. Yeah. Like that feeling of like, I can't even work out. So you mean to tell me I can't work out? And I don't know if the IVF and all makes you gain weight. I've heard some people struggle with like inflammation and stuff.
No, and everybody's body reacts differently too.
So you're just like at a point too that you're just like, and I don't feel like me and I don't have a baby. Like,
well, and I also had a toddler at home too, which he was a whole nother, he actually came early at 30 weeks. So I knew after getting through all of that I could finish and complete getting through the rest of it.
Okay.
So came early at 30 weeks. My water broke middle of the night, like true Hallmark movie. It was storming, raining. It was COVID. Nobody can go in. Like the whole 9 yards. But Shane was leaving at 4 a.m. that morning to get on a plane. This happened at 2 a.m. Like, just
you can't make it up.
Come on.
Exactly. And so, so we rushed to the hospital and everything. And of course, like the whole rest of my family's on pins and needles. They're so scared. Shane was terrified, obviously, and they wouldn't let him in the hospital with me because it was COVID. And so until I had my own room, he could not come into the hospital.
Wow.
Not even in the waiting room. Like he could not come into the hospital.
And again, you weren't to full term. So of course he's worried about you. So, he's worried about the baby that's not full term.
And,
that's a lot.
And again, it was funny. I don't know if it was just my faith in God or if it was just like mom mode trying to take over of just trying to be strong. But I was never once scared about it.
Faith,
yeah, you do.
There's
no fear base. That's amazing.
I was never scared. I just knew, okay, this is just, a situation we have to get through and figure it out. We had great doctors there. I love my OB, like all that. And so, she was called obviously, and they went ahead and like started the whole like to stop the labor and everything like that. I saw her the next day. She wanted me to stay in at least till 34 weeks. Well, I'm in the middle of building a house right now, right? And so I have my timeline in my head of when I'm going to be done and when this house is going to be done.
Your own home?
No.
Or somebody
else's home.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
And thankfully they're amazing people, but still, I still had a job to do.
That was work.
Yes. And so by the next day I was stable and everything was good. Baby was good. I was good, all that, but we were going to live in the hospital for the next 4 weeks.
Wow.
So I was like, okay. I said, well, I need all my shit. So I needed my computer. I needed a printer. I needed everything. And I swear I worked every day in there. Now, I didn't last the 4 weeks because I ended up getting an infection. But I worked every day in there for the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Until finally, you know, my infection started getting bad. Like I was starting to just get in pain, like in my back and everything, just because, you know, it's just was starting to set in. And so, and they were wanting me to just like stay on bed rest in there. And I was like, no, I have to get up and like sit in this chair at least. Like, no.
I can't.
And they were wanting you to like, you know, like use the bathroom in the pan. And I'm like, no. We're going to be fine. So, you know, we just lived there basically. Like Shane, I mean, he stayed there all day, every single day with me. Like did not leave. I mean, was just the most amazing rock, like with me.
Wow.
And so, but did what I needed to do. I mean, finally, even the morning of the C-section, whenever we scheduled it to go ahead and get him out, I was on a Zoom call that morning and I was like, all right, I got to finish this up. I was like,
I'm going to have a baby.
You're like, I have a C-section pain in 2 hours. Can we wrap this up? Are you
so
kidding?
I was like, I got to go. Oh my God.
You are one strong
One strong mama.
One strong mama. Not the one pot mama. The one strong mama is the new name I'm giving you because dang. Like your faith is like unshakable. And truthfully, this is again, like this is what Jesus is literally like just begging us. Like, please, I have you. And like some of the darkest time, like some of the hardest times for people is when God is working the hardest too. So like it might be your hardest, but he's working just as hard. And if you allow that relationship to flourish through that, it can be so beautiful. And like that's what you did. Instead of turning and the why me and the this, if God was real, this wouldn't happen kind of thoughts. You were like, my God's going to get me through this. And I'm just going to
And all I can do is take one more step forward to make the change.
And all you could do was do what you could do. So like if that meant I'll make a doctor's appointment, another one, I'll do it. I'll go. Maybe it got you answers, maybe it didn't, but you went through those motions of continuing to say, okay, let's work together, Lord. I'm gonna do me, you do you.
And
exactly.
He did.
Won't
and
he do it?
Like so I stayed a few more days after that. Came in, obviously had to stay in the NICU for, you know, it ended up being 2 more months.
Because he was what, 32 weeks?
He was 32 weeks whenever he was born. Well, right shy, like a few days shy of it, but yes. And so he wasn't, you know, ready until, you know, 2 months after. Obviously.
Let me ask you this because I know my thoughts and like other people who might go through this or might have gone through this, but like I know you're probably going to say my faith, but I'm still going to ask, like in the moment of all of that happening and then him having to go to the NICU, were you not like, couldn't it at least this part be easy? Like I went through all that and now my baby's early and in the hospital and now I can't bring him home. Like, did you ever have those kind of questions of like,
I mean,
come on.
I knew him coming early already that he was going to have to go to the NICU.
You had time to like mentally
it was already
process.
processed in my head. Like, you know, me and my doctor had talked and she was like, even if you have him at 34 weeks, he's probably still going to be here for a few more weeks at least, you know, just to fully be monitored and developed and stuff like that. So, and honestly, the thought of going home with a 31-week
was scary.
Oh no,
it's worse.
Yes,
like,
I would not want to do that. Like I want him to be in the best place until he's ready to come home with me. Like,
for sure.
So I was.
You again never
very much
it. You were just like,
I was just like,
take care of my baby, take care of me.
Yes. And thankfully like St. Tammany has like cameras to where like you can watch your baby.
Oh, that's amazing.
Which is cool. And so we always called it Cayman Cam and like so we all like had access to Cayman Cam. So we watched them all day. But because it was COVID also, only the parents could go. And you could only go twice a day. And so you know, we went every day, twice a day, whenever we could go and all that. And as much as, you know, it's crazy because as much as like your story is crazy, there's always somebody out there whose story is even crazier.
Right.
And so the little boy who was next to us in the NICU, I'll never forget, he came actually like 2 weeks earlier. So like 28 weeks is whenever her water broke and she actually like delivered him at 28 weeks. And so, you know, and they were actually in town for a wedding. They lived in Houston. Well, remember, whenever your baby is delivered and goes into a NICU at that hospital, they cannot leave.
Yes.
Right.
Unless, and like, it doesn't matter where you live. So unless something like the hospital is overflowing, then they have to transfer them, something like
Correct.
that. But it's not because, I live in Houston, so let's
Right.
bring the baby home to that hospital.
Wow.
And so they had to pick up their entire life and move here. And I was just like, okay, all I have to do is drive 20 minutes down the road every
Wow.
day to see my baby. Like,
Wow.
you know what I'm saying? And
You
still
count your
You see the bright
blessings.
side.
Yes,
Yeah,
Well, and you know what
blessings.
I really
Yeah.
love when you just said that, you used the word crazier instead of most people in this scenario would say, like, I know my situation's bad, but there was someone next to me whose was worse. And it's not
Her
that
verbiage.
it's it's your
Yes.
verbiage. Like, it's
Yeah.
not that it's worse. And so I think a lot of us maybe need to check ourselves on that.
Yes.
Even the other day, I was going through something. I'm like, I'm very blessed. Like, this situation could be worse.
Yep. But like your worst or your moment is just as it feels
It's
big
mine.
to you. It's
Yeah.
yours.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But it's
You know,
cool
but-
to see that like you can look like how you did and you're like, I'm gonna count my blessings. Like my
And it's just a crazier
you're
scenario.
like,
It
it's
is.
crazy.
It's just crazier.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And it
Life
is.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's like
not
something you
bad.
feel like you can't make up.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
No,
Right.
all
And
of this
so
could be
I
a movie,
remembered
actually.
that story. And so whenever we got pregnant again, when I tell you, like, we didn't leave, we didn't go anywhere outside
not going out
of
of the state,
outside of
outside of the
45
city.
minutes of St. Tammany Hospital.
You're like, I will not.
Wow.
I will
did
not.
not.
That will not
because
happen.
it scared me of like
Yeah.
if something were to happen. And then now I have also a toddler at home.
Yes.
I can't move somewhere
Move.
else
Okay,
with
yeah.
a toddler at home. And then like,
Plus,
So let's go back to
Sorry.
this.
Yeah.
So you're going through this, you're crying in bed, you have your toddler at home.
Yes.
We're back
So,
to
back
Okay,
to
see, this
that.
is where Kristen keeps us
Yes.
on the
Sorry.
timeline.
so you're back to
Yes.
what's it called?
So-
Stemming?
Yeah. Yes.
So when did
I'm
you
back
started
to
Pilates?
So at this point in time, this was my fourth one. Only one of them took.
When did you start again though after having Cayman?
So we started again. It was probably like 8 months. No, it was probably a year later.
Okay. And you didn't have to take eggs again, nothing like
No, because I
'Cause they
still
already
had
had
some
that
left.
you still had left.
Yes.
Okay.
So you
Is he
just
named after
go
the
back
Cayman
through.
Islands?
He is.
That just clicked in my head. Because y'all got engaged there, you
Yes.
got married there, and then we have
Yes.
Cayman. I love it. Okay, I'm sorry.
Squirrel.
Yes.
It just hit when you said that. I was like,
Wait. Yeah.
I love
Yes.
it. So that's a very special
That's
place.
a very
like-
special place.
Okay,
And so,
keep going.
so
Eggs,
then,
eggs.
so it was a year later that we started again. So, and then I had the option to start in like October
Okay.
of that next year, right? And I was just like, you know what? I was like, I kind of wanted to just spend the holidays with Cayman.
Yes.
It was really like his first kind of like
Right.
big holidays
That he could-
instead of being, instead of being on bed rest because of doing the injection and not the injection, but instead of, because of doing IVF and all
Right.
that kind of
Right.
stuff.
Okay.
And like the whole and then I didn't want to, I was like, if it doesn't take, like, do you really want to be like, oh, it doesn't take and it's now
Sad during the
Christmas?
holidays.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
We don't
like that
need to
sounds
bring that in.
terrible.
No,
Right.
yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Let's just get through these holidays and let's start in January.
So you were thinking of it very like logically, like my control that I have is
Yes.
when I do this
I
and
can do
how
it.
I feel.
Yes.
Correct.
Because that's going to overflow to everyone around you.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes,
absolutely.
And you knew it's not
Yeah.
an easy journey because
And
you
I
already
didn't
did it.
want
So,
right.
like,
And this was Cayman's. I mean, it wasn't his first Christmas, but it was his first Christmas that like
As
he
a
would,
kid.
could remember.
Yeah, right.
Like
I mean,
a
he was
newborn- a baby
Yeah,
at
he
a
was like
Christmas,
in my
yeah.
arms for the first Christmas. He was like 6 months old. So
Right.
so basically, I wanted to enjoy that Christmas, and I didn't want the whole like, oh, okay, I didn't take during the holidays. Like,
Right.
that's just no fun.
Right.
And so we go to January. So I go through all of like the shots and everything. We do another transfer. It didn't take. Okay, perfect. We move on again, do it again. Well, this one, I ended up getting sick. And so I had the choice to either like try to go through with it. But if you so I had already started all of the shots. But if you get to the day of and if you test positive for something, they're not going to do it. But that means that you wasted all of that time, all of that, even money. I mean,
I was
Yeah,
gonna
I mean,
say,
that's
I
a
feel-
whole
because
other thing we haven't
because they're
said. It's
there to do it.
expensive.
So I mean,
Yeah.
they still have to be paid.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and even the
so-
drugs that you had been
Yeah,
taking the shots, and
exactly.
I know that
Is
even
expensive.
in the early stages
Yeah.
of fertility journeys, I have heard a lot of couples make or break on the financial burden.
Oh,
it
100%.
becomes too.
Right.
So
Oh, no,
anyway,
it's-
we'll table that.
yeah,
But
yeah, no, it's a huge thing. But so I was like, okay, let's be smart about this. And
Yeah.
so I didn't. And also, I only had so many eggs left. I didn't want to waste an egg either.
6.
If I'm like over here running a fever and stuff, and then my body's trying to combat being sick instead of.
And can't take that viable egg.
Yes.
Right.
Man, that's heavy.
So that was basically almost like a wasted, like, really like 3 months because nothing was able to happen. So then all of that goes again. And, every single time you go to the doctor every other day to get blood work, to take your shots, do this. And Shane was giving me a shot every single day. And sometimes it's even like 3 times a day, just depending on the point where you're at.
Wow.
So every day is like a big thing, and it's just like, and taking the shots at a certain time and this and that. And, you have to be very regimented with it.
Big
and
commitment.
so then we go and do it again. And then that's the other one that didn't take. And that's when I was like, that was the breakdown. But that's whenever I took over and like started to do everything else. And I was like, there has to be a deeper reason. There has to be something else going on, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to, I'm going to work out. And that's whenever I started all that and everything. Because at this point, I only had 2 more eggs left. And only one was a grade 4, which is the highest grade. The other one was a grade 1. Which doesn't mean it can't take, but the chances are severely low.
Right.
Like we had already actually talked about, like if this 4th one or the 5th one didn't take, that instead of even transferring the last one, like go ahead and starting to stim again.
Okay.
Because my body was getting so old anyway, that at that point in time, like I was pushing, I was 34, so I'm pushing that 35 time. And so, at that time, or no, I was 35 actually. And so he was like, I really would want you to stim again. Go ahead and get more eggs before your body gets too old, which is heartbreaking at, 35. You're like,
Me over here about to turn 32, not even married. I'm like, well,
you're good.
Gotta go freeze some of them things.
He's got you.
I ain't.
He's got you.
Yeah,
You're
no,
good.
I know. I'm not worried about it. Okay, continue.
So then I was like, okay, so I had already, even though I was being positive about this next transfer, in my head, I already knew the next steps of what we were doing.
Yeah.
And I was
Which,
already
did that give you
prepared for
comfort?
it. I think it did.
Okay.
And I think it almost made things like easier on my brain. Like not that, because I was still positive about it, but I almost knew okay, this is probably going to be a negative. So this is what we're going to do.
If plan A doesn't work, there is more.
It's okay, you know? And so I knew that there was still like that next step, and it wasn't like
the end.
You
had faith, hope
exactly.
that okay, if this doesn't work out,
there's now it wasn't
option.
Ideal,
no way,
obviously, just because whenever you stim, that's a whole that's a lot on your body and everything too. But that's what we were gonna do, and it was fine. But we went through that one, and we actually ended up being positive, and then everything just kept, it was good. Throughout the whole pregnancy, obviously, come that 28, 30 week time frame, I was I get
anxious,
nervous, clearly,
a little,
but they also had me on. I was clearly on high alert, and so I was at the doctor at least twice a week, and everything was being checked like at least twice a week, and all that, just because of everything that happened before,
right.
And so did all that. He ended up being a full-term baby, had to end up scheduling a C-section. And it was good, because I didn't want to do a VBAC. I didn't want to chance all the things,
let's just
because I was
clean.
like, let's just keep it clean. We've gotten here with everything else we've been through.
Right.
Let's just keep it good.
And at this point,
too,
did you ever feel overwhelmed, frustrated? Like, you had a toddler, you had a full-time job, you have a husband, you're going to the doctor twice a week. You're on high alert for pregnancy. Like, what did that look like in your everyday?
Well, that's whenever I knew that I had to make a decision between building and One Pot Mama.
Okay.
So here we go to here.
Mama start sprinkling into this?
So I actually started One Pot Mama in 2023, August. And I was just posting some recipes, nothing crazy. 24 is whenever I was pregnant. And, and building, and then trying to pursue that a little bit more. But I mean, you're still not 100%.
Yeah, you can't give it 100. Yeah. It's not bringing in 100 yet, and the other things.
Right. And then I was doing the cookbook, and this is while I was pregnant, just because, why not?
Why not?
And then I decided to really, after I had him, I was just okay, I have to either be serious about this or stop it and just continue building, or, you know, like I have to make a move. Like I can't, I'm literally only one person.
Yeah, so you're spreading yourself a little too thin.
And especially with another baby, I'm like, okay, it was just getting a little thinner and thinner.
Yes.
Things are changing. Yeah.
Yes. And so you know, God comes into it again. And so I had started focusing on it a little bit more, and was like, and then it was the holidays too, and the cookbook. And so like I was just doing a lot more with it as I had, you know, newborn and everything too. And
Crazy.
so I was just like, all right, I was like, I need a sign again.
Yeah.
There wasn't another quote.
No
but
Instagram
I
quote.
did. No Instagram quote this time, but I did end up getting a huge brand deal for One Pot Mama.
Wow.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, this is my
You're like,
sign.
this is
And
it.
it was,
This could be it.
at this point, was it bringing you more joy to
Yes,
do One Pot Mama than
absolutely.
your
because like, you know,
building?
Cayman was cooking with me too, and I was able to do it at home, and Cole was
On your own
there, and I was
time.
able, yes. And I love building. I will always love building. Like I've always had a passion for
Yes.
it. But, you know, I can only do so much. So
Yeah.
I can only do one house at a time anyway. And with having the 2 kids, even without doing One Pot Mama, it's just still a lot.
Your
to do.
schedule.
Whenever I
Yes.
started building, I didn't have kids.
Right. So
you
that
know,
was
I
your
mean,
kid.
and so that
All
was
your
my,
time.
it was all my babies. I mean, I
Yes.
had multiple houses going on at a time,
Right.
meeting with multiple different families and clients and this and that. I was doing interior design
Yeah.
and like just everything.
And you could.
But I could. And so, but then, you know, one kid comes, and okay, that was a little bit more of a challenge, but I still did it. I still, you know, in between, like whenever St. Tammany Hospital and where I was building the house, whenever Cayman was in the NICU, was right there.
Right.
So I literally was at that house. I would go to the NICU and then go back to the house. Like
Yeah.
every day.
Yes.
Right.
And so, you
That's
know.
a little God wink.
Yes.
Right?
He
Like,
was.
at least I'll put you right next
yes.
to
I'm not going to give you
Exactly.
anything you can't handle, and
Yeah,
this is what you
exactly.
can do
This
right
is
now.
what you can do,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, and I had, you know, I had finished that house and everything, and so, you know, and it just became, it circled around to the point of like, okay, I was actually finishing up a house anyway, and I was like, do I start another house or do I focus on this?
Wow.
And then the brand deal happened, and I was like, that's my sign.
Yeah.
Gonna
Like,
focus on
is
this,
it.
and it's been fantastic since.
Yeah,
And you know,
you've
and all
flourished
the
so
boys
much.
are healthy, and you know, we still do have one egg in the freezer, and it is still not like a question if we want to do it, because I am in my like happiest of hearts of where we are. And I don't think that we can handle a third either. Anyway,
I bet you could.
I
Look,
mean, I'm
you
sure
can
maybe you
handle
can handle
everything,
anything.
You
but
can handle all that. You can handle
do I
3.
want to? I guess. And so, but I don't know. So it's just still a question of what do we do? But
Yeah.
you know, that baby's just in the freezer, and
Can I ask a
all
hard
that.
question?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard this question, but a lot of people do not believe if you like are a Christian that you should do IVF. That's a big like thing because
It
of
is.
the embryos that get left behind, essentially, not necessarily
The process of
and
IVF.
the medicine.
Yeah.
What is your take on that? Did you ever have people like question you? And
Or did you question it before you even started?
Yeah. Did you like?
So-
what is your take?
I didn't question it because I felt like God led me there. And so, and I do have other people though who have questioned it just because
Right.
of that reason.
Right.
But my answer was always God led me to this point.
Right.
And this is where he wanted me to go.
Correct.
You know, like I talked to him, I asked him, and this is where he led me to go.
Yes.
So I never felt like I was doing something wrong or
Correct.
against his will
Yeah.
or anything like that, because, you know, this is where he put me.
Right.
And so, and now one of the other biggest questions with IVF, and one of the reasons why people question it so much too, and it's such a controversial topic,
Yeah.
is genetically testing.
Yeah.
And, you know, we didn't end up doing it, but not for the religious reason.
Right.
We didn't do it. Our doctor didn't like really push us into that way, and we didn't really care if it was a boy or
Right.
a girl. You know, I wasn't doing it for that reason, which
Right.
is why it is so controversial.
Because they
But-
say you're like picking your gender.
Yes,
and that-
exactly.
When I
And,
think
like,
it
much
even
control.
now,
Yeah.
someone had told me last week, it goes even further into
It can
diseases
go, yeah.
or
It does.
you know,
It goes as far as you want it to
yeah,
go.
Down
I didn't
syndrome,
know.
like just
Yeah.
all of those things that can be
And
options,
so-
and
and
then you're
that's-
then
yeah.
you're playing God, you're
Yes.
playing God, and, you're
that's
picking.
that's what's so controversial about the whole IVF part.
Yes. I
Is
see.
the genetic testing,
Right.
because you're not supposed to question and pick
You're like
what you want.
I can see that.
And going through the process, I have feelings both ways.
Right.
Like, I understand that whole reasoning, and I really wasn't wanting to pick a gender or anything like that. Like, I didn't care
You
about
just
that.
wanted a baby.
Just wanted a baby.
Yeah.
But on hindsight, all 6 of mine that were, good
Viable.
grades, I could have only gone through, like, if I would have had them genetically tested.
Right.
2 of them possibly, which was Cayman and Cole, would have probably just been the ones that were viable.
Right.
And I wouldn't have had to go through all the other transfers.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I can see it on both ends
Right.
for people. And it is the one thing, I don't necessarily regret that I didn't do it, but it is the one thing I tell people to strongly consider doing.
Because it could have saved you a lot
Because it can save you
But
just
also,
a lot of...
I don't know, could it have? Because
Right.
your body at the time
Right. Who
of
knows?
those other
And you never know.
embryos being,
Correct.
Yep.
you never know where your body really was.
You
Yeah.
never know. And
So the egg could have been viable.
It could have been, but yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Timing.
Yeah.
God's
No.
timing.
So you really
God's
just
timing.
never know.
You
Again,
don't know.
you can't play God to
Right.
know.
And so,
what's
and
gonna
that's
work
why
and
I
what
tell
won't.
everybody, like, it is the one thing to really, I guess, just strongly look at. Instead of just
Right.
saying absolutely no or absolutely yes, really look at, the situation with it.
options.
But that's what is so controversial
Got
about
it.
it is the genetic testing.
Well, I truly believe that fertility and faith can work
Yeah.
together because the Lord, like you said, you
Yeah.
prayed and asked for it and he led you here and he gives tools
Yeah.
to bring you a child, and that was
Yeah.
the desire of your heart that he gave you.
Yes.
So I think it all really depends on like the position of your heart, the posture of your heart. Where is your heart in this? Like,
think
what is
so,
your
too.
where are
What's
you?
your motive?
Yeah, what's your
and
motive?
I think a lot of it too, it's such a beautiful thing that God has created this and doctors to be smart enough to
Correct.
be able to do this
Correct.
for us, but also at the
Exactly.
same time, when something wonderful is created,
Right.
there are negative things that are created with it, for you to be able to have that faith and
Right.
make the right choice.
Yes.
And that's with anything in
yeah,
life.
it's with anything,
Like,
absolutely.
there's so much good, and that could also equal so
battled
much
with
bad.
evil,
Yeah,
yeah.
that evil is everywhere trying to
Yeah.
counteract us. But I think it's really cool that you have such a strong relationship with Christ, and that's what in the Bible it talks about actually numerous times fertility and women longing for
Yeah.
children and waiting and
does.
waiting and being faithful to the Lord and crying on their knees for a baby, and then he provides he
Yeah,
does.
he
But
does.
and everyone's story is different.
Yep.
It could lead to getting a child in a different way, or even when we were talking the other day, you're like, this is not for a way. I didn't go through this to just waste it.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about it,
Yeah.
and I'm going to tell people about it. And that's what she came to us and was like, let me come talk about this because I didn't go through this for nothing.
Yeah.
And just he knew he could use you and that you would share your testimony, whether it's helping people currently in it. Maybe it's someone who's been through it that needed to see
Yeah.
something in a different light, because your light is bright. You are so positive,
Thank you.
and the things you went through, someone else probably went through the same and was very negative and very why me kind of,
Possibly,
and
yeah.
they might hear you and be like, you know what?
Yeah.
This was my story, and this is why, and I can't change it. That was
Yeah.
a huge, you couldn't change anything in that moment. You just
No.
kept being like, what can I do?
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's these big things that are upsetting me. I literally can't
change.
Change.
So
No.
what can I change? I'm going to work out. I'm
Yeah.
going to do this. I'm going to go to the you did everything in your power, but you remained faithful and you
Yeah.
remained obedient.
Yes.
To him.
Yeah.
And that's so important. When we're obedient to him, he's going to continue to provide the gifts and the joy. And you know what? Even some things in life we go through that seem absolutely the worst thing we could ever be through, we look back years later and are like, my gosh, I'm actually so thrilled that happened to me.
Yeah.
Or I cannot believe that got me here. Holding that baby felt so different for you.
Oh, yeah.
Because of what it took to get you to that point. You
Yes.
were like, oh, God is so good. I'm holding my gift. This is it was worth the wait. That's what I'm getting at.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey,
and it was
worth
funny.
the
We
wait.
we had Cole, and it was a C-section, and then so you have to be in there for a few days because of a C-section.
Right.
And they're like, okay, time to go home. And I'm like, oh, wait, like we take him home now? Like,
Yeah.
like,
are you so different than your first time.
Are you sure we can't just stay?
So we're like, oh, wait, okay.
Wow. I'm so glad you got that, though, that y'all got to
We did. We had 2 different
that.
experiences. And I am happy that the crazier experience happened first and not with another baby at home.
Correct.
So again, it all works out like it's supposed to.
Right. It does.
And all that. But I am the crazy person on Instagram and all that. Like if I see somebody who like had a NICU baby or if they're going through fertility and stuff, like I am that person that like reaches out to them and I'm like,
I think that's great.
Hi.
Yeah, you're a light in the world.
Hi.
That is great.
But like if you want to talk, like, I mean, and some people just don't even answer me, which is fine. But like some people, answer me back and was like,
no,
and
I think that's
like,
great.
yeah, like, cause I just remember like me and my best friend who was thankfully going through it at the same time, like we talked about it every single day. And I think if I didn't have somebody else right there to talk about, which everybody handles things differently.
Yeah.
But if I didn't have that, it would have been a different experience for me.
Right.
Especially like, not that even if she wasn't going through it, she would have listened to me, but she wouldn't have known 100% of what I was talking about because she's not going through it.
Yeah.
So like having that other person who's been through it,
right,
even if it's not your exact story,
right,
it just feels like
it's just more comforting.
Yeah, it's
more comforting.
Even when
and you're like,
pregnant,
oh, okay.
I would always like link up with someone else who was pregnant.
Yeah,
and we would talk. Like I had like pregnant buddies for all 3 of my kids because like you find someone who's just pregnant with you, and you're like, all right, let's talk today. My back hurts today. This happened, and it just felt good to have someone who's like, oh my gosh, me too, or oh, I had that last week. It got better. Like whatever it looks like. So I think what you're doing is you're just doing the Lord's work, and you're reaching out to these people that you're like, I can be here if you want me to be here.
Yeah, right.
If you don't, it's fine too. But I went through this,
me.
and I'm here to listen, even if it's just to listen.
Yeah,
you can actually say, I get it, or I've been there. And like sometimes when you're talking to people who haven't, it's frustrating because they'll be like, oh, I get it, and you're like, you don't get it. You've never been there, so please don't tell me you get it. But to have someone who actually gets it and that they can like confide in, and maybe even it's a question of, hey, my water broke at 30 weeks. What did you do? Or like, what got you through that? You can easily be like, well, first, the Lord.
I'm living in a hospital for 2 weeks.
Now,
move your whole office in.
I remember sitting there like,
inspiring.
in the bathroom, and I went and grabbed my phone real quick because I was like, okay, I can't be like that crazy girl who goes to the hospital at 30 weeks and is like, oh my God, my water broke, but it really wasn't it. Like I peed on myself or whatever.
Yes, nope.
And so, and especially I was like, and Shane's waking up in 2 hours, so it was like, I don't want to wake him up.
Yeah. Right.
All this. And so like I'm Googling and I'm just like, what else can it be?
The Google.
The Google.
And everything was like, nothing.
Go to the hospital.
You had a baby. Okay. Like you were in labor. You're like, okay, cool.
Oh
Tap your
gosh.
husband. Yes. Good morning.
Honey, I'm sorry. And he was like, baby, he's like, I have to wake up in a few hours. And I was like, I know, but I don't think you can go.
You're like, so we're going to the hospital instead.
Oh,
change of plans.
So what does he do?
He is actually in commercial insurance. He owns a commercial insurance agency based out of Memphis. So
nice. So was he
Memphis?
Going to Memphis? Was that where he was
no, he was going somewhere else at the time, but
wow,
still, yeah,
that's crazy.
I know.
Why Memphis?
Crazy. That's just where it was whenever they bought it.
Oh wow.
And so it'll eventually, maybe I guess, move or maybe stay there like home base. I'm not sure.
That's cool.
I love Memphis. Go Tigers, go.
He's always been in the insurance world. So.
Little plug. Sorry. That's why I had to know.
The wrong Tiger.
The little plug. Hey, they don't even play against each other, everyone.
This talk. I know.
Okay.
Two tigers. You lucked out with the double tiger.
I did.
Because you could just be like,
started as a tiger, ended as a tiger.
No one
There you
knows
go.
which tiger you're talking about.
It's
But
fine.
you just love tigers. Well, is there anything that you would like to leave with anyone who may be going through this now? May go through this in the future, who knows, but any words of like encouragement or something that really stuck with you that got you through it?
Just always have faith and just keep with it. And just with anything in life, I feel like if it's something that's that strong and passionate to you, you just keep moving forward to make it happen. And whether it's, whether it's work, whether it's having a baby, whether it's your marriage, whether it's anything, you keep making that better version of yourself to keep making it happen.
You do your work and let him do his work.
Yes, exactly.
That's what I just hear from her.
Yeah, but I mean, because nothing's just going to be handed to you.
Absolutely.
That's it.
You have to make it happen. And
Correct.
whether that, that can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people in a lot of different ways, but You have to be the driving force to make it happen. And they'll
good.
push you of where you need to go, but you can't just sit down and not do anything.
You can't glide.
You gotta listen.
Yes.
Make
But
choices.
I mean, it's a tough process. It really is. And, again, I'm always here, like, the one pop mama, if you like ever have any questions or whatever, reach out. But it's a tough process. I'm not even going to say that it's not. But you can make it as easier or as hard as you want.
That's good. That's
And
a word.
so if you keep positive with it, and if you keep the faith of, God pushing you where you need to go and listening to the doctors and what you need to do, you'll get there.
Yes.
It's just a process. But I always said being negative and upset about it isn't going to get me there any quicker.
I love that. That
it's
goes
gonna
for everything
yeah,
in life.
everything
well,
in
especially
life.
because it's gonna hold stress on your body. It's gonna change
Yeah.
things.
I love that.
Absolutely.
I
It
love
does.
that. And
Yes.
that, like you said, it can be as easier, because we're not
Yeah.
saying it's
No,
easy.
it's not easy,
Or
but-
it can be as hard as you let. That's for anything.
Anything.
So say we're at the bottom of the bottom. We're like having just this, I can't believe this is happening to me. What can you do as flesh to
Yeah.
make it better?
Yeah.
Even if it's just your thoughts. Like
Yes.
you're just so positive, and I can see how that's reflected through your whole life. Like from when you were 2 and your parents split and you lived your life with a different way than everyone around you may have.
Yeah.
You've been positive and you have faith, and that speaks volumes. And I like it. Some people may look at you and be like, "Oh, she's so like," but she's just happy, or like that's what, because that's sometimes people who are negative or people who harp on the bad can't
always.
see through that.
Yeah.
But if you're listening, I want you to hear she has faith, y'all. Like that, she has faith. She has a relationship with the Lord, and she takes the negative and turns it. How can I make this positive?
Yeah, you have a
Yes.
choice.
How
You
can
do.
I change
You
this?
do.
And that's beautiful, and that's strong, and that is just. I'm inspired by you. I'm leaving here going to be
thank
like,
you.
what would Brandi do? I need a bracelet. Not what would Jesus and Brandi do? Because you are it, girl. You are a light, and I'm just like, I have loved I kept
you.
waiting for you to be like, and I was mad at Jesus, and you're like, no. Because he has what he has for me, and I'm just going to keep listening. And you listen to, that's another, like, give the Lord time to respond. A lot of times we like pray and we're like, I want this, hang up the phone, and we move on to our busy lives. But like sitting in prayer and really waiting and like listening for his Instagram post.
Right. Well, that's what I was about to say. It's like we sit and pray and ask God, for what we think
Correct.
we want, what we
Yeah.
need, whatever his will may be, and it shows up different for all of us.
Oh,
So
everybody.
you have to be open. You may clearly hear him. You may see an Instagram post.
Right.
I don't know, whatever the
Whatever it
sign or the answer, it appears in different ways.
It does,
Yes.
but I believe in that. Like, I'm not saying the Lord is up there on Instagram posting a meme, but I believe that his signs are real. Like, some people be like, "Oh, that's a coincidence." There's no
and that's the
coincidence.
thing. Like, so that goes to like you have to be open,
Right.
to seeing it though.
It could
and
be
so
anywhere.
it could be anywhere. I mean, I could have very well just easily scrolled past and just like whatever that day,
Right.
and just
Right.
continued crying and whatever. But you have to be open to those things to actually see them,
Yeah.
And that's
or
faith.
to hear them.
But your answer
however
may
it
have
is.
been walking into a home that you were working
Yeah.
at, and
Literally.
the woman whose home it was could have had a conversation with you
Yep.
about this.
Yes.
And
Could
that
be
would have been your
anything.
answer.
I one time
Yeah.
walked into therapy, and there was a book on the little coffee table that had never been there. I've been going here forever, and it was, oh gosh, I'm gonna say the name wrong. I'm gonna have to. It said something like, "Oh, broken crayons still color."
Oh.
And I was having I'd say a day, probably like a week of just a lot of personal things and feeling just broken and lost. And I'm
Yeah.
praying for the Lord and da 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 da. And I sat down, and it said, "Broken crayons still color." And I was like,
Oh, that's beautiful.
I can still color. I might be a little broken. And it was this exact sign I was praying for.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and I'm telling you, it was just sitting right in front of me. And I could have been like, broken crowns, kept
Right.
going. But to me, I was like, the Lord's telling me right here, right now,
Yeah.
like, you are not broken. You still
Correct.
work.
Yes.
You just have to sharpen your little edges
Yep.
back up. And
Yeah.
so
Exactly.
it could be anywhere. You just, like you said, have
Yeah.
to be open to hearing it, seeing it, and like receiving it
Yeah.
too. Receive.
And I still think too, like even if you weren't raised that way, like you kind of touched on earlier, you have the choice of how you want to live, though. So, like, even if you weren't raised in a Catholic faith, then, you know, or if it was just too much as a child, or if it was pushed too much, you still have that choice as an adult of either continuing it in the way that you want to, or even if you weren't raised that way, to start.
Yeah,
right.
To explore,
you know, I mean,
you can,
it's not like, oh, you weren't raised that way, so you can no longer, you can't be a part of it.
Right.
You know, I mean,
right. You have options.
you have the choice of how you want to live.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Amen. That is it. Well, thank you so
Thank
much.
you for
being
sharing
here.
your story.
This was so courageous of you to come on and just be open and share all of the parts of your story. So we're so grateful that you did that.
Look, if it helps one person, I'm happy with
That's
it.
it. That's
Absolutely.
what we always say. If it helps one soul, then we did our job.
Yep,
Well,
exactly.
thank you, Brandi.
Thank you, Brandi.
That's
a wrap.
Love it.